My name is Scott Kuhn, and it's my distinct honor and privilege to introduce an outstanding businessman. Hopefully you're not come here just to hear a great speech, because you're going to get more than that. Tonight you're going to be hearing from Greg Duncan. In our industry, we consider him a Tiger Woods, or better yet, a Vince Lombardi, a rare combination of one of the top players and one of the best coaches that we've ever seen. To help you understand what success Greg has created, let me give you a snapshot of Mr. Duncan's background. He's been a private business owner for over 20 years. He runs a global company generating hundreds of millions of dollars in volume that he started without outside investment. As a result, financially, he is ranked in the top 0.1% income bracket in the country. Greg is asked to speak tonight because he's achieved a rare combination of financial success and control of time that he has leveraged into a balanced family life. See, the mark of a great leader is not what they do, but the leaders that they bring behind them. Greg Duncan has mentored hundreds of business owners in this industry to some of the top echelons of leadership. Mr. Duncan sits on nearly a dozen organizational boards and influences over 500,000 people a year to more than just financial success, but to living a life of significance. In addition, Greg is a chief advisor for Quickstar, a multi-billion-dollar bricks and click distribution company that is dominating e-commerce. I think you will all agree that the wealthiest people are not better than us. They just have access to different information. And when they get it, they apply it. Greg is going to be sharing that information tonight, but the application is up to you. Please help me welcome Mr. Greg Duncan.
Well, thank you. I'd like to talk to you tonight about private franchising in a high-tech, high-touch world. And if you were handed the tape that you're listening to right now, the people who handed it to you probably were impressed by you. Most likely you work hard where you work, you're ambitious, you're probably attaining some of the highest levels available at that workplace. You probably impress that person as being attentive, caring about their future, caring about their family. And I want to talk to you about, are you getting everything that you deserve? Because my guess is that you have not been shown all the opportunities that you could have. You've probably been misled in a lot of cases, in my opinion. And I think that you're worth a lot more, your spouse is worth a lot more, your children deserve a lot more, and I want to talk tonight about how to get it. I want to talk on this tape about how to be able to attain more than you've ever attained before. My guess is you did the same thing that I did, or had the same opportunity that I did. You went to school, study hard, you were told to get good grades so you can go out and get a good job, and the implication was that such a thing existed, that a good job was out there, and if you're a good boy or a good girl and you did everything you were supposed to do, that everything would turn out great. Well, let me ask you, how's it working so far? Running out of pillowcases to stuff the cash into? Just having more time available than you ever thought? My gosh, no politics, no stress, no bureaucracy, no threats to your occupation. It's just a wonderful deal. I wish they'd told it was going to be that great in second grade. Or are you finding it's not quite the deal that everybody said it would be? You know, financial planners tell us that not only should we obviously make money to support our lifestyle, but that we should set aside 10% of our income for charity, no matter what your religion is. It helps, create the base of society and helps us have some foundations people can lean on. They also tell us we ought to put 10% away for our savings and for our future. Let's just talk about that for a second. How's that going? How's that savings part going? Just, my gosh, every time the check comes in, before you pay any bills, before you worry about spending any, you say, you bet, honey, let's put aside that 10%, no problem. It's just stacking up. Is the pile getting really big in your backyard for your savings? Your pile of cash is so high in your backyard that your neighbors are complaining it's throwing a shadow over their neighboring swimming pool? Or are you having a hard time saving any money whatsoever? Well, if you're anything like I was, you're having a hard time saving money. I saved money once for months, finally got over $100. Started finding out that anything that no matter how much I saved the money, how much money I saved, it always turned out that something broke on my car that cost exactly what I had in savings. And I started thinking, my gosh, why save the dang money? Maybe my car will work better if I don't have it sitting around tempting my car to get sick, for goodness sakes. The frustration is that most of you work very, very, very hard to find out that you run out of money before you run out of month. And every single month it's the same story, over and over and over again. Struggle and struggle and struggle to divide a little bit over a long ways. And I just think that you deserve more than that. And I think you and I settle for that because of the fact that, well, that's what everybody does. Well, no, not everybody does do that. And there are other options. And sanity is not statistical. Just because everybody in your cubicle does that, just because everybody in your neighborhood does that, it doesn't mean that that's the way it has to go. There's a phrase that a lot of people climb the ladder of success only to find out it's leaning against the wrong building. And unfortunately, the price you pay to find that out is a lot of your life, a lot of time, some of you a lot of training to go, oh my gosh, darn it, this is not where I wanted to be. And it's a long climb down, and a lot of us don't want to take that long walk down the ladder and then climb clear across the street to go find another opportunity. Well, my recommendation is you don't climb down the ladder. My recommendation is you jump and run across the street as fast as you can, because life is short and you deserve the greatest opportunity that you can get. And too often we have not been told the whole story, only to find out that there are better options. And that's what I want to talk about as a better option. You know, one of the big problems that we all have, no matter what our occupation is, we get paid by trading hours for dollars. Now think about this. You know, the way to define success is not just by how much money you make. I mean, what good does it do you to make a whole lot of money if you don't have any time to enjoy it? If you're on your fourth or fifth family just because you're rich, well, spending that time at work didn't do you any good. That's not success. And so a lot of people opt for saying, well, look, we don't want to give up our family success, so we chose not to make a lot of money. If that was the only choice you had, I think that you made the right choice. I hope you would always pick your family over making money. Money is never that important. But what if there's another choice? Because unfortunately, it's not real productive either to be totally broke and be with your family and teach them, you know, math, like try channel 3, now 5, now 7, now shut up and go to bed. It would be nice to have some financial flexibility so you could go do the things that you wanted to do. The problem is, in order to be successful financially, we give up the very most important thing we have in our life, and that's time. That's the one thing we want the most of. So to make more money, you give up time, and there's always that basis that we've got to work against. We get paid by the hour. I put myself through college as a construction laborer, and I got paid by the hour. Of course, I thought that was a pretty good deal. Boy, did I like the union when they gave me a good base wage. That was a great deal. I went to medical school at the University of Washington, studied to be a plastic surgeon, and found that the deal was pretty much the same thing. Yeah, the outfit was a little bit different. Yeah, you got paid a little bit more per hour, but it was still trading hours for dollars. You still got paid by the hour as a surgeon. Now, I got paid by the surgery, but surgeries took a certain number of hours, so guess what? I got paid by the hour. And yeah, I could have made more money as a plastic surgeon. I could have afforded to send my wife and kids over to Hawaii for 3 months at a time. The problem is you usually can't leave your office for more than 3 days at a time. You know, you'd think that all of my patients would be on my side and say, gosh, poor Dr. Duncan works so hard. I'll tell you what, why don't we just get sick January through September and give him October, November, December off, and he can go enjoy some time in Hawaii with his family. Actually, it's like there's a conspiracy, and they say, let's keep him busy all year long. You get sick in January. Can you guys handle February and March? How about you? You got April covered? Okay, and they get the whole year. And the whole year isn't enough for them. Oh, no, they got to get all 24 hours a day, too. They expect you to carry a beeper with you so that 24 hours a day they can get sick in the middle of the night. They expect to be able to call you, get a hold of you at any time that they want to. And you're going to find there's a lot of successful people in your town financially that don't have any control of their time. They got a tighter collar around their neck and a shorter leash than most of the people who work for them. And that isn't success. And I want to talk about how private franchising can give you more control over both money and time in your life. You know, the ultimate job would be to have a photocopy machine, stick your face into it, make 10 of you, send them to work, make 10 times the income, and you go play with your family. Unfortunately, those kind of things don't exist. Or do they? In the 1950s, a new business concept came up called franchising. And Ray Kroc, of course, you all have probably heard of him. He's one of the first guys that ever really started and was obviously very successful. He's the one that started McDonald's. And he found an idea, found a way that you could take something, instead of just getting paid per hour, you could help people have another opportunity because they were so successful, they were so excited, you could make a small percentage off it, and you both were really happy with it. And he was a milkshake machine salesman, and he would go around to these little burger joints and, places just sold hamburgers, and he'd sell them milkshake machines. And he found a couple brothers down in San Bernardino, California, by the name of McDonald's, who had a restaurant that was really simple, not a complicated menu. I mean, even today, they don't even have hot dogs on it, for goodness sakes. They just had hamburgers. They had a real simple way. They even told people, here's how you put the ketchup on, here's how you put the mayonnaise on, here's how you do this. So it was a pattern that anybody could follow. And because of it, they had several restaurants, and those restaurants worked very, very efficiently because it was simple. Everybody had a pattern. He said, well, if they can have a pattern 2 or 3 times, why can't they have a pattern 2 or 3 dozen times? And bought the rights to be able to franchise that concept. And what he did is he went and got a friend of his into business and set him up in his first McDonald's restaurant. His friend got most of the money. He got most of the profit. In fact, he made enough profit that he did very, very well. He could pay his mortgage on his house. He could pay for his car. He could send his kids to school. He could do everything he needed to had developed a full lifestyle just by owning one restaurant. Now, Ray Kroc got paid a little bit for helping that guy succeed. The guy that built the restaurant made the money, but Ray Kroc made a little bit. Not enough to allow him to quit being a milkshake machine salesman. So he went and helped a second friend. And that friend, same kind of thing. Made a good living, it was a good income, it was a good way to have a lifestyle, paid his mortgage, paid his car payments, was able to send his kids to school, but Ray Kroc only got a little bit. And that happened over and over and over. That Ray Kroc only got little bits, but there are over 27,000 McDonald's today. And when you add up all those little bits, they're a gob. And you know what? Every one of those people are very excited they made the money that they made. They don't begrudge that he made a little bit at all. But when you add up all those little bits and it's a gob, it creates a whole different concept than what you and I were taught in school. Since you and I only get paid for what we do, that means that when we don't do it, we don't get paid, right? What happens if you don't show up at work? You don't get paid, right? If I didn't show up for work as a construction laborer, I didn't get paid. Well, there was some unemployment, some sick pay, but for the most part, I didn't get paid. If I didn't show up to work as a plastic surgeon, there is no sick pay, there is no unemployment. You flat out don't get paid, and most people don't pay their doctor anyway, so you weren't getting paid anyway, no matter what. Think of Ray Kroc. Most of you never really heard that name before. Most of you didn't know he lived, so you probably didn't know he died over 15 years ago. Now, did they shut down the McDonald's in your hometown? I'll bet those McDonald's are still running today. In fact, I'll bet they've opened up new ones since then. In fact, I'll bet they never even had a day of silence to honor that he had lived. In fact, I'll bet you they didn't even stop for a moment of silence. I'll bet you they were chucking out those chicken McNuggets all day long, no matter what, weren't they? What a great business. If it works that great when you're dead, can you imagine how cool it was when you were alive? Now, what would happen to your income if you didn't perform, whether you don't show up because you're sick or because you died? If you didn't show up, most likely your income wouldn't show up either. And so your income stops because you only get paid for what you do. Here's a concept that allows you to get paid because you help other people succeed. You get rewarded by empowering other people. Remember what your mother told you when you grow up? The golden rule. Remember the golden rule when you grew up? Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Now, wouldn't it be nice if the world really worked that way? Wouldn't that be great? Of course, we grew up and realized Mom didn't know what she was talking about. Those were fairy tales. Mom, get serious. The golden rule of business is do unto others before they do unto you. So we're trying to stab people in the back before they stab us in the back. You guys, that is not a fun life. It's not fun to be stabbed in the back. And it's not that much fun to stab other people in the back either. You don't sleep well at night. Wouldn't it be great to have a business like Ray Kroc had, where the only way he succeeded was to help other people succeed more than he did in their particular businesses? And when he helped a lot of people succeed, then he had great success. Such success that he could even be dead and the business still succeeds. His wife, Joan, a fine person, is one of the wealthiest women on the planet today. Now, not just wealthy because of what they created in the past, but I'm talking every year, the money she makes more money than almost any woman in the entire world today. She's very, very wealthy. And the rumor is that she hasn't been flipping burgers for months. So something's going on here. What's the deal? What's happening here? Well, he duplicated himself. The problem is we don't have an ability to duplicate ourselves. I couldn't duplicate myself through other construction laborers. I can't duplicate myself through other plastic surgeons. I can't get other surgeons to take my patients. Well, that's not true. They'll take your patients, but they don't give them back. And that's not a cool deal. See, we were never taught this. Were you taught? Maybe I'm wrong. Were you taught that? Were you taught to go to school, study hard, get good grades so that you go out and get a good franchise of your own? Or did you get taught what I got taught? Go out and get a good job that's limited. You know what? If that good job works and everybody else in your cul-de-sac gets up every morning, in fact, let's take a guess. I'll bet you tomorrow morning you could forecast how many huge numbers of people in your town are going to get up tomorrow and like a bunch of sheep decide to go, let's go driving. And they'll all head off to work. 8 hours later, the feeling will come back. Let's head back. They'll all drive again. You know, and gosh, why should I mock that and make fun of that if everybody turns out great? If everybody's turned out fine, Greg, we don't need to be rich. We don't need to have a Rolls-Royce limousine when we retire. We just want to have some money socked away under our mattress and have a nice little lifestyle and see our grandkids. You know, if it's going to turn out that way, God bless you, you're right. Why listen to me? You live in the richest continent in the world. The United States and Canada are richer than any place else in the world. And you'd think that if people work for 40 dang years of their life, they ought to be okay. Now, my guess is people don't sit and talk about this. There's just a warm, fuzzy feeling that they assume everything's going to turn out. But look at the facts. The Social Security Administration tells us that after 40 years of working, what's happening to the average 65-year-old? He's retiring. He's got $100,000 in the bank. He buys a motorhome and travels all around the country to visit his kids? No. That's what a lot of people think. But that's not what happens. You know, it always amazes me how you work your brains out and you can hardly pay your bills with a full-time job, especially if there's two of you working. Then you expect to retire, live on 1/3 the income, buy a motorhome, and travel everywhere. Now, I'm not an expert at math, but how do you get that kind of conclusion out of that kind of thing? That makes no sense to me. And here's the real facts. Here's the truth, not the fantasy that people don't really like to think about, because if you think about it too much, you're going to realize it's just a fantasy. It doesn't work. The truth is this, that at age 65 in this country, 23% of people are still working. Still working. Now, why do you think they're working? Because they're having so much fun they just don't want to quit? I don't think that's it. You know it isn't it. They say that 30%, Social Security Administration studies this, 30% are dependent on charity. After working their entire life, now forget about being rich, they can't even feed themselves. They can't even support themselves. They're dependent on a charity just to exist. Look, you may not want to get rich, but don't you think when you're going to work every single day with all the other sheep, head right off, that you're at least going to be okay and be able to feed yourself? I'll bet you presume that. Well, the fact is you're not. Another 45% can't feed themselves either, but instead of being dependent on charity, they're dependent on your children. Son, listen to me and do everything I tell you, because one day I'll be totally incompetent and you'll have to support me. That carries no credibility, you guys. That's 75% of them dependent on charity. 30% on charity, 45% on their kids as a charity. It leaves only 2% left. Only 2% that can be financially independent. I didn't say a hog stinking rich driving Rolls-Royce limousines. I mean they can pay their rent and buy their food. 2% in the richest country in the world. And when you go out and you take a look at all those sheeps and all those vehicles tomorrow, how many of those people are being realistic about what's happening to them? I just encourage you to be realistic. Be realistic now instead of when you get hit in the head with a 4x4, because I'll tell you, the options aren't great out there. And I built private franchising, not because, I had nothing else to do and needed a hobby, but because every alternative available to me was nothing compared to what this could do. That's absolutely huge, and that's exactly why you need to look at this too and look at private franchising for a solution for your family. Things have changed so much in our society since Ray Kroc started. They say today to buy a new franchise, a McDonald's franchise, according to the Wall Street Journal, you'd have to pay $1.3 million. Now, my guess is most of you don't have that on you tonight and couldn't round it up real quick. That's a lot of money. And then you only have one. You haven't duplicated yourself. You haven't franchised yourself. You only got one, right? $1.3 million is a lot. But technology's changed. Today, with the things you can do on phones, you remember when phones used to be attached to a location? Oh, is this the phone at your home? And now phones are attached to a person. You never know what location they're in. What a change technologically. You can conference call several of your friends. You can use interactive voicemail. You can conference call. I just did a conference call the other day on a cell phone with people in 32 different locations. There were 140 people on a conference call. Absolutely amazing that you can do that kind of thing. Everybody called in. We were all on at one time and the crystal clear, and I was in a car driving down the road and it wasn't even my car. That's an amazing, amazing technology. You combine that with what you can do on video conferencing, and for goodness sakes, the internet. Today, it's possible to be in your kitchen in the middle of the morning on a bad hair day in your bathrobe with a child on your knee, sitting in front of a computer or a telephone and interacting with hundreds of different businesses without having to go downtown to a corner business, putting on a funny hat and flipping down cow meat to participate in franchising. Because of technology today, you can do so much more just from your home, for goodness sakes, and from the convenience of that. Now, if you put in the energy to talk to people, incorporate those people, get them to franchise, they can all do the same things from their homes, and you can have huge interacting businesses that have potential that are way beyond what McDonald's is doing. Boy, I get excited about that. That's absolutely huge. Now, you compare that to what you're going to do in a regular job. Let's talk about what franchising does. Let's talk about why franchising is a great idea. Why does it solve all of the problems of climbing the ladder of success only to find out it's leaning against the wrong building, working our brains out to barely have enough money to be able to make things out there? Let's talk about what the difference is. Imagine, if you will, two circles, one over the other. A little circle at the bottom, that'll be you. And the big circle on the top, which would be the company you work for, a corporation, a boss looking over your head. Now, if you put out the effort at that job in the little circle to, let's say, generate, let's pick a number, $2,800. Let's say you put out the effort. Let's say, just for example, I'm your boss. I own the corporation that you're working for. And I oversee you. I'm the big circle. You're the little circle. And you sit down that little circle and you work hard and generate $2,800 of profit for my corporation. Now, you did all the work. I didn't help you. I didn't oversee you. You did it all. But you don't get to keep it all, right? Because it's my company. I get part of it. What would be a fair way to split the $2,800 that you generated in profit? Should we split it 50-50? You probably think you deserve more than half, don't you? Because you did all the work. The truth is, well, you tell me what the truth is. Who gets to keep most of that money? Usually the corporation. I asked a guy one night out of $2,800 how much his boss kept, and he said, well, probably $27.99. Well, let's say I'm nicer, and I only keep $2,000 and let you keep $800. Well, bottom line, does that fire you up? Look, I'm from Montana, so I don't have a huge vocabulary, but I think you got ripped off. You did the work. You did all the effort. You created that profit, and you get less, you get the lesser portion, you get the smaller amount. That's why people aren't fired up at 5 o'clock. They just want to go home. They aren't excited about going to work because I think they're getting taken advantage of in a situation like that. Now, let's talk about what happens with a franchise. Let's take those same circles. Remember, you were the little circle on the bottom, I was the big circle on the top. You know what franchising does? It's so simplistic. It simply switches the circle. You're now the big circle, and I'm the little circle. The person who franchises you into a franchise, the franchisor, is the little circle. Just like I described earlier when Ray Kroc said his friends up in business, they get the little bit and you get the big amount. Let's say you're putting out effort now to create $2,800 and now we split it. Well, in a franchise, let's say you get the $2,000 and I get the $800. Would you be more fired up now for the same amount of effort, creating the same amount of profit that you get to keep more? I would think so. What if we change this at your corporation? What if wherever you go to work tomorrow at the same place? Same building, same people, you make the same product, do the same thing. Here's the one thing that we change. What if starting tomorrow, we started allowing you to keep the majority, you and all the people that work there got to start keeping the majority of profit they create rather than the corporation creating it? Would people have a different attitude tomorrow? Yeah, they'd have a hugely different attitude. They'd want to come in early, they'd want to stay late, they'd want to work weekends. Could we volunteer for holidays? Why? Because they're finally getting rewarded for what they do. They are excited about being able to go to produce. They're excited about being able to go to work. I think when you reward people for what it is they do, they're going to be excited to do it. Now, let's say that all the people in the front row here were all worked at a factory with me. And one day I just got sick and tired of working my brains out to only get $800 a month and have my owner of my company make the $2,000. So let's say I left all my friends at the factory, went and opened up a McDonald's franchise. Yeah, I got to wear a funny hat and flip dead cow meat, but guess what? I get to keep more of my money. And my friends saw that and they said, look, we're not prideful, we'll wear a funny hat. We just want to keep more of our money for our family. And so they're all over for a barbecue one day and they say, hey, we want to get started in a McDonald's franchise too. I set the example, they got turned on, they're excited, can I franchise them into a McDonald's franchise? No way. I'll go to jail if I do that, won't I? Only McDonald's can franchise. So I'm going to send these people's names into McDonald's. What will McDonald's send me back? Money? Will they send me? No. Will they send me a thank you card? No, not a chance. Absolutely no way. Now see, I don't think that's fair. McDonald's is going to profit off my friends. I'm not. And I'm the one who got them excited and got them started. See, I don't think that's fair. Now, some of you are going to have a problem with that saying, well, I wouldn't want to be in a business where I made money off my friends. I would never want to be in a business where you make money off other people. You've got to be kidding me. You know, typically when we share this idea publicly with people, we do it in the evenings because we're trying to make it convenient for you. Because most of you, from what I understood, were doing, what did you do today? You went to work all day. You guys, do you have any concept of what's going on there at work? Do you know what's happening there? Why do you think they're paying you? Just because you're so dang good looking? For some of you, if that was it, you'd be in serious trouble. That ain't it. I'll tell why they pay you. They pay you for one reason, because they're making money off you. And here's a newsflash, the day they stop making money off you, they're not going to pay you anymore. Absolutely. So don't say to me, I don't want to be in business where they make money off other people. You just did it all day long. The sin to me is not that they made money off you. The sin to me is that they made more money off you than you made off yourself. Now that's not right. And I think you deserve more than that. You guys go sin all day long and get righteous with me at night. Quit being a hypocrite. Be consistent. Either you're for it or against it. You guys, you want to be for people making money off other people. There is nothing wrong with people making money off other people. You pray to God they do. You want the shoe salesman to make money off selling shoes so that he'll have shoes for you, right? You want to make sure that the car salesman makes money off selling cars so that they have plenty of cars sitting around in lots waiting for you to decide to buy one. Of course you want them to make money. Isn't it amazing? In the freest countries in the entire world, we're able to go out at 10, 11 o'clock at night, and there's still a ton of businesses open, still can buy a ton of different products. Why? Because people are incentivized because they make money. It's called free enterprise. It's called commerce. It's why our society works. It's a great concept. It's terrific. You want people to make money off you. There's nothing wrong with that. The only sin is when they make more money than you do off the effort that you put out. That's the part that's wrong. I've never had anybody get mad at me when I put them into a business situation similar to a franchise where they make $2,000 and I make $800. They get to keep $2,000 and I get to keep $800. Nobody's ever gotten mad at me. I mean, this is a pretty simple concept, right? Which is the bigger number? The $2,000. If you were going to get mad at me, you must be furious at your boss when he's getting the $2,000 and you're getting the $800. I've never had anybody get mad. I hate you, Greg. I hate you. I'm making 2,000, you're ripping me off for 800. I've never met anybody that dumb. That's the coolest idea I've ever seen in my entire life. Some people say I wouldn't want to make money off my friends. Your friends wish they had a friend like me that would teach them to make $2,000, and I only take 800 for that. My brother Brad makes millions. Millions. I only make hundreds of thousands in that one business. My brother doesn't like math or school, and he still figured that out, for goodness sakes. It just makes sense. If you're going to help people make more money than what you're making out of the deal, they're going to be very, very excited. What are you telling me? I shouldn't have done this? I should have traveled all over the world with my friends, playing golf at the greatest golf courses in the world, going to the greatest beaches in the world, being able to travel with our families so we have 6 Saturdays and a Sunday. Things in our vocabulary had to change. Words that make no sense anymore, like the word vacation. What does that mean? Well, it means you don't have to work. Oh, we just call that a year. I should be apologized for that. What, should I stay in construction? What, so I could sit on the sidewalk, curb, and eat lunch with my buddies? Hey, mind if I trade my plastic enclosed tapioca pudding for your brown banana? Boy, sure glad I never got into business where we'd make money off each other. We might have succeeded and been in Hawaii this week. Boy, sure glad I didn't do that. Solidarity, brother. Yeah, we're staying here together, be in construction. Oh, there's the bell. Guess we better go back to work. You gotta be kidding me. You know, the problem was that we didn't grow up learning this kind of concept. So you know what? We always reject things we don't know. But this kind of concept works incredibly well. And why should the Kroc family be the only people that get to take advantage of it? Again, we're back to the golden rule. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Isn't it great to have a business where the way you succeed is help other people succeed? Now, there's only one thing that I have a problem with those franchises, and that's that situation where you can't franchise your friends. I don't think that's right. And that's why private franchising goes one more step. Imagine those circles that we talked about before. That the guy on the top now has the little circle, he's your franchisor. You have a big circle, and you start a franchise business. You get to keep the 2,000, he keeps 800. But you know what? You've got an ambitious brother. I have an ambitious brother, that's for sure. You have ambitious friends. You're going to run into people. You know what? Not everybody is. There's a lot of people. Human beings talk. They flap their jaw. They move that part of their anatomy a lot. And you're going to find it's not necessarily always connected to any other part of their body, particularly their backbone. You know, it would be so easy if they'd wear a sign on their head saying, I'm serious, you know, or just kidding. It'd be so much simpler. But they're going to fool you. And that's why we have a saying in this business. Some will, some won't. So what? Somewhere 6 will. You know, you're going to run into people just having conversations. A lot of people talk. Some are serious, willing to back it up. Those that are willing to back it up, talk to them. Introduce them to successful people in this business. Hand them a CD like you were handed a CD and let them listen to it. See if they're serious about it. If they get back to you and say, I didn't like the guy, I wasn't interested in what he had to say, great, give me back my CD. How tough is that, guys? That's a piece of cake. Let us help you do the work for this. We are trying to sift through and find ambitious people. I think in every town in America, there are high percentages, 40, 50, 60% of people in every town I've ever seen who love their families. They'd give their life for their children. So if they'd give their life, they'd certainly work hard. And your mission is to find those kind of people. Find out who's serious. And let a CD, you know, find out if they are. Somebody gets back to me and says, well, that was really a nice speech on that CD. You know what? Give me my CD back. I got to be honest with you. If this kind of stuff doesn't keep you awake at night and fire you up, then you know what? It's not for you. Don't waste your time. It blows my mind how some people could not get excited about this, and yet I say, okay, let me quit this and do what you do for a job. Will I be awake at night just foaming at the mouth with excitement? I don't think so. You know, when you compare the alternatives, I just don't think there's anything like this whatsoever. That's absolutely huge. You know, it just cracks me up how people don't like to look at new things. And I just got to tell you, if you're going to succeed in life, you've already got to think outside the box. Look at things in a different way. If you do the same thing everybody else does, you're going to end up the same way everybody else does. And guess what? We already talked about where they're ending up. You aren't going to like it. I'll never forget, I built this business, and my attitude is I just soon get it over and let's get it done. You know, I built it fairly quickly, and I went in to see a banker friend of mine. It was middle of the week. It was on a Tuesday. I went in with a leather coat and a pair of jeans and cowboy boots and sat down with him, and we were doing a significant addition onto one of the houses that we had. And I laid out my finances in front of him to take a look at, and he looked at it and went, oh my gosh. I said, what's wrong? He said, well, there's something wrong here. You made more money in a year than I'll make in the next 5 years. I said, well, what's wrong with that? He said, but I understand how that private franchising deal works that you're involved in. I said, yeah. He said, well, you know, I went to one of those meetings, you know, where they put that board up and you draw pictures on the board and show people how the business works and stuff like that. And I said, yeah, what did you think? He said, well, I didn't believe it. I said, well, I did. Oh. You know, if in private franchising, I can not only be in a franchise, but I can help my friends, look how cool this is. Imagine those circles again. There's a little circle at the top of franchisor. You're the big circle. You're the franchisee. You get to keep the 2,000. But you find this ambitious friend you have. You find this ambitious person. And let's draw one more circle underneath you. He's a big circle now. He gets to be in a business of his own. When he generates $2,800, who keeps his 2,000? He does. And you only get the little bit. So I help a person get started, and they make $2,000, and I only get to keep the 800. I help another person, I still only get 800. Every person I get started that makes good money, I only get 800 every single time. Now I got to tell you, there's another problem. There's people in my business that don't follow the rules, and they make a lot more than 2,000, which means guess what happens to my 800? Oh darn. So you start seeing the benefit of something like this. Believe me, when you help people make $2,000 and then more and more and more, they become some of your best friends in the entire world. A little bit different than being at a job where somebody else is trying to milk you for all you're worth and not give you a pay increase, isn't it? You know, the great thing about all this is that we make this work by using an engine that powers us. We use, as Scott Kuhn introduced me up front with, a company called Quickstar. This is a multi-billion-dollar debt-free corporation. They put together a website called Quickstar.com that is unbelievably successful. Compared to anything else out there, it's absolutely amazing. And using a multi-billion-dollar company like that to back you up so that you've got all of the strength that you need, they do all the things you need to run a business. You know what you've got to add? We aren't looking for your mortgage. We aren't looking for you to invest lots of money. We're looking for your ambition, and that's it. Now, this whole thing was started by two guys named Rich DeVos and Jay Van Andel. These two guys have been listed in the Forbes 400. I don't know if you subscribe to Forbes magazine, but every October they come out with an issue called the Forbes 400. It lists the 400 wealthiest people in North America. Now, they didn't just get on there 3 years ago like some of the Enron guys who, by the way, aren't on there anymore since they went bankrupt, or some of those hot.com guys, you know, that all rose up and were going to be multi-billionaires, and they were on there for 2 or 3 years, and they're not on there anymore because the dot-coms became dot-bombs, and now they're dot-gons. These guys have been billionaires on that list for over 15 years. They built good, solid, debt-free businesses that weren't jacked up by some share price. They didn't take their companies public. They didn't need to. They didn't need to borrow somebody else's money. They made good money. They put a lot of money in the bank. They built billions of dollars of assets all over the world. They expanded their businesses into 80 countries and territories. They did manufacturing and distribution businesses all over the world. 80 different countries. That's huge. Now, today, they're probably more well known for anything else for how generous they are. They're some of the greatest philanthropists. Forbes also has a list every year of the top 100 philanthropists, people who give away money to other people. They give away hundreds of millions of dollars a year. In a slow year, a few years back, Jay Van Andel gave over $2 billion for a medical research facility in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Well, that's pretty nice stuff to do something like that. They research Parkinson's, cancer, a lot of other things, but they've made some tremendous advances in those areas, and because of it, have been able to help a tremendous number of people. Hundreds of thousands of people are going to live longer, more fruitful lives because those people were so dang generous. Incredible. They also engage in empowering communities by encouraging sports teams. In fact, they own quite a few of them. One of you may know is the Orlando Magic basketball team. They also own a WNBA team, a women's basketball team, several hockey teams and baseball teams, and several different things to encourage and empower communities. You know, and these guys have done well. They're multi-billionaires. They've made billions of dollars. They've been encouraged by a lot of their advisors to say, hey, look, you own the biggest private island in the British Virgin Islands. You own one of the nicest, most incredible yachts in the entire world. You've got one of the most incredible jet fleets, private jet fleets in the entire world. Why don't you kick back, enjoy your life, and have a great time? Well, because the most important thing in their life is none of that stuff. It's their children, as I hope it is with you. And I think it's a dream of all parents to do well enough in life that you can empower your children. So instead of making them start all over in the gutter like we all started with nothing and, you know, try to get our first crummy apartment and not have insurance because we're too broke and have some poor excuse for a car and one day finally get a mortgage and put ourselves in a hawk for 18 lifetimes. And then finally we turn 40, 50 years old and kick our kids out and say, good, you start over just like we did. Wouldn't it be great If we could have our kids start on our top of our shoulders, have them start where we left off. Wouldn't it be great if our kids at 25 were blowing us away in what we had done by the time we were 35, 45? Wouldn't that be the great way to live life? And that's what these guys want to do. These guys want their kids to have a better future than they ever had. And so they take all their experience and all their billions, look at where everything has come from and said, you know, what is the best business venture that we could steer our kids into for the future? And that's where they thought that e-commerce, being involved in the middle of e-commerce, being a business that had tons of other businesses plugging into them, and most importantly, taking entrepreneurs like you, letting them be independent business owners and profit from all that, was the smartest thing they could do. Now, let me just ask you a few quiz questions to see if you agree. Was this the right move? Is this where the future is? Let's just talk about this. Some quick questions. Here's the first one. Simple questions. How many of you go shopping and buying things 4 and 5 times a week? I'm talking anything from a latte. Well, that would be daily for most of you, wouldn't it? But 4 or 5 times a week. I don't care if you're getting a latte, food, clothing, gasoline, whatever. We all do, don't we? Don't we all go shopping all week long, all the time? Of course we do. We all shop. We engage in commerce as a free society. We do it all the time. Second question. How many of you have access to a computer? Whether it's at home or at work, I didn't say you had to even know how to turn it on. How many of you have access to a computer? Just about everybody in the room, right? It's amazing. Had I asked that question 2 years ago, most of you wouldn't have been able to raise your hand. Bill Gates wrote a book called The Road Ahead and said his vision, his dream was that one day before he died, there would be a computer in every home in North America. Well, he's my age, and he's either going to die real quick or his vision came true a little earlier than he thought it would. Because of the fact today, in every home, there's an average 2 to 3 computers. If you bought a car in the last 2 to 3 years, you probably got 5 to 6 computers just in your car, for goodness sakes. Things that advance very quickly. So we all shop all the time, and we all have access to computers. Now, here's a quick question, easy one. How many of you have ever even once engaged in e-commerce? I mean, you got on a computer, got on the net, got on the web, engaged in e-commerce, you actually bought something over the web. How many of you have done that at least once in your life? Well, just about every hand went up in here, 80%, 90% at least. We're talking about everybody shops all the time, everybody has access to computers, and most of you have tried to engage in e-commerce at least once. Now the next question I'm going to ask you has to do with what have you done consistently for the last 6 months, every single week, no breaks. Not what did you start 2 weeks ago and think you're going to do for the next 6 months. How many of you for the last 6 months, every week, have gone on the net, engaged in e-commerce, and purchased things over the internet 4 and 5 times a week, every single week? Raise your hands. Keep the hands up, guys. That's less than 1% of this room. This is huge. Watch the significance of this. We all shop, but we're not doing it on the web. Now, here's the second to the last question. How many of you know for sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt, no question in your mind, not guess, think, maybe, know for sure that in the next 3 to 5 years, you will be on the internet, on e-commerce, engaging in e-commerce 4 and 5 times a week, every week, the rest of your life? Just about every hand in this room. Do you know what you just described? You just described the greatest economic revolution in the history of the world. Never in the history of the world has any society changed that drastically economically in less than 200 and 300 years. And you're casually sitting here and saying, oh yeah, in the next 3 to 5 years, absolutely no question. Do you know what you're talking about? This is gigantic. Not only are you thinking it's going to happen, know it's going to happen, but you know it's going to happen 3 to 5 years ahead of time. Well, if you're so dang smart, and I think you are, and if you're so dang right, and I think you are, here's the last question, and this is pretty critical. What are they doing at your workplace to make sure you're going to be right in the middle of that so you can take advantage of this greatest revolution that's ever occurred? Or are they making plans to lay you off, replace you with a machine, or subcontract your job out and going to dump you on the street? You know the answer to that question. Layoffs are a thing of our everyday life, and it's not a matter of if you're going to get laid off, it's a matter of when. It's only a matter of time. So for goodness sakes, I think if you know that's where the future is going to be, you better be doing something. What are you doing to make sure you're going to be part of that? Now, that's exactly why DeVos and Van Andel set up Quickstar, because they thought it would be the biggest thing there was going to be. They opened it up September 1st, 1999. They opened it up in cooperation with 50-some other businesses, some of the most prominent businesses in America, like IBM. IBM know a whole lot more about computers than we do, for goodness sakes. They know a whole lot more about it. And yet, in our first 30 days of operation, got to think when this was. This was in September. They had laid in all the Christmas stock, July and August. We cleaned out 2/3 of their entire Christmas stock in 1 month from the 1st of September to the end of September, because our portal was so incredibly successful. Over 52 million hits on the first day. Still today, average 25 to 35 million hits a day. Out of 400 million websites out there, this one, over and over and over, has great success. The first year, we did over $518 million of volume. Amazon.com, do you know who they are? They've paid billions of dollars for you to say yes to that question. Do you know who they are? Of course you do. They spent billions of dollars so you could say yes. Out of 400 million websites, in 5 years they think there'll be 1 billion. They wanted you to know their name, and they paid dearly for that. They are the largest revenue running business on the web that deals with consumers. Now you understand the difference between running revenue and actually keeping any of it as profit, right? Amazon currently runs more revenue than anybody out there. Does anybody know how much of it they keep? Yeah, zero, nothing. That's exactly right. They're still hoping to turn a profit. It took them 5 years to run the same volume we ran in our first 12 months. And in addition to that, to the independent business owners, we paid out over $140 million in profit. Now, Jeff Bezos, the head of Amazon.com, I'm sure prays to God every night, hoping one day he'll make 140 cents, because so far they haven't succeeded in being able to do that. I just think that when you have that kind of success, well, I'll tell you, you've got something to put your hat on. This company does not make stock offerings. They don't borrow money. They're totally debt-free. They're sitting in a very, very strong position. And the great part about it is it just gets better and better and better. Besides over 100 corporations that are involved as partner stores now, there are over 500 corporations that want to be part of what Quickstar does. They want to be part of Quickstar, and they're knocking down our door. And a lot of them are companies you know very well who they are. But here's the one restriction we put on them. If you're going to be a part of what we do, we don't want you to send us a statement at the end of the year and say, hey, Quickstar, here's how much money you did through us. Every month we want to report, not on Quickstar, but on every single individual man and woman, couple, every IBO in the business, because we're going to pay you every month for every dime that runs through every partner store, every part of our Quickstar business, because it's your business. You deserve to be profitable. See, this is the key of what DeVos and Van Andel did. These guys put you into the equation. Yeah, they got a great website. Yeah, they got great products, but the most important part is you. Amazon, it's said, spends over 2/3 of all of their revenue on advertising, so you know their name. We spend 2/3 of our revenue on advertising too. We just call it bonuses, because we think you are the best advertising that we have. Let me just give you a simple analogy. You're sitting in a line, standing in a line, going to a movie. And you're sitting around talking to somebody while you're in the line, and you get talking about what's happening in the world, and accidentally on purpose, talk comes up about the internet, comes up about business, comes up about what they do for a living, talk about their family, their occupation, what they do for recreation, all links back to how much time do they have to do it, how much money do they make. You start talking about that kind of thing, and you just say, hey, have you checked out this cool website? Now, that subtle little, simple little phrase is something that Amazon estimates would cost $1,000 to have the impact of in advertising. You know how many people work in the department at Amazon.com who go around talking to people and saying, hey, have you checked out our cool website? Zero. They do it through advertising. And it would cost them $1,000 to have the same impact on you as somebody in a movie house stopping and saying, hey, have you checked out this cool website? This isn't a complex thought. Now here's something, I don't even know if they have a cost estimation on it at Amazon.com. You see the guys 3 days later and you say, hey, did you get a chance to check out that cool website? That small little statement is gigantic, and that's why 500 corporations want to be part of what you're doing. They don't want our website. They don't want our products. They want you, because you're so dang powerful. And that's why we pay so much money back to you. When you count the retail market that you have and you count the profits that you get in bonuses, you get that same 60-65% that Amazon's spending on advertisers, because we think you're the most valuable advertising that there ever was out there. My goodness, that creates so much profit for you. They say that to get a product from a manufacturer to a consumer takes 70% of the cost of that product. It has to go through jobbers and wholesalers just to get to retailers. Whether you buy it at a store, from a catalog, or off the internet in most cases, it goes through lots of different shipping, lots of different warehouses, gadzooks amounts of advertising along the way. And in the process of doing all that, it eats up 70%. So when you pay $1 for a product, it typically really only costs 30 cents to make that product. That's it. That's a tremendous amount of markup. The whole point of private franchising is to skip over those multiple levels of channels of distribution and get products to consumers more directly. And because of that, that's why we leave so much profit in your hands, because you are the independent entrepreneur, you're the IBO, the independent business owner, that stands in the middle there and gets that done. That's why we reward you so greatly. Technology is a great thing, except that it gets really cold and impersonal. And that's one of the reasons we're so dang successful, because we have you. We have a warm body, a warm person, can look a guy in an eye, link him back to our stuff. You don't have to be an expert at this. We have people that are experts at everything you need to do. All you've got to do is know how to get them. You're more like a travel agent. You're directing people where to go, and when there's a question, you know where to get the information. We're here to help you. The engine's in place. Billions of dollars of structure already in place. We're just looking for you to be ambitious. That's all we're looking for you to do. That's pretty exciting stuff. This Quick Start Corporation's done incredibly well, guys. They're debt-free. They've been awarded the #1 company in the country for their computerized robotic warehousing. They've won top awards in Canada and the United States for that. They have the most superior production and delivery schedules of any companies that are out there. They won the United Nations Environmental Medal for making products that they were conscientious about the environment. Do you know, in the whole history of the United Nations, who's won that? It's always been countries, not companies. Entire countries. There's only been 2 companies that have ever won that. Well, Rich DeVos and Jay Van Andel were one of those companies that won that. That's absolutely incredible. These guys have done some amazing things. You know, when you take a look at all the companies we work with today and the things that are going on, the amount of potential for you is absolutely beyond description. The greatest thing that we're offering is high touch. That's why we talk about private franchising in a high-tech world, but we add the high touch to it that makes it work so incredibly well. We've got partner stores today. They're some of the best companies out there. When you add up all their products, they add up to hundreds of thousands of products. You know what that gives you? Diversity. So you can withstand the ups and downs of the economy because you've got diversity out there. We're talking about companies like Gateway, IBM, OfficeMax, Fuller Brush, the Disney Store. My gosh, Catalog City is just one of our partner stores. They have over 400 catalogs with some of the finest stores out there. LL Bean, Neiman Marcus, things like that. A lot of the companies that are coming to us today are so excited about the potential we have that they're giving us sole distribution rights of their product you don't even sell anyplace else. Nutrilite Nutrition Products is the largest manufacturer of vitamin supplement tablets in the entire world. They do over $1 billion a year. They are only sold solely through Quickstar. That's huge. Artistry Cosmetics. They're named as one of the top 5 cosmetic lines in the entire world. We're not talking about cheap knockoff stuff you buy in the store at a dime store that you put on and you know 5 minutes later you got to put it on again because it really doesn't have the quality stuff. We're talking about some of the top brand names out there, and you're going to find that this stuff is exactly the same quality, but you're going to find it's way more than competitive in price. So we've got great products, great prices, great company names, great things out there, for goodness sakes. Magnum Block magnets that have been unbelievable in what they've done for people health-wise, that have been recognized by the American Medical Association as one of the biggest advancements in medicine, and we have sole distribution for those products. Access Energy Drink. It's a new company that's been unbelievably successful that's taking over the energy drink market. My gosh, Starbucks has gotten people hooked on coffee. If I told you 15 years ago that people would be parking in lines at gas stations in front of little wooden booths so that they could pay, what are you paying for coffees? $2 and $3 and $4, and what, twice a week? Or 2 and 3 times a day? Well, I'll tell you what, let me sell an energy drink that doesn't have all the sugar loaded into it like they do. They've been unbelievably successful. In our first 6 months of operation, sold over 1 million cases of excess energy drink, did over $24 million. We're projected this year to do over $100 million in that one product alone. Competitive in price with anything else on the market, pays you full profit, so you have a lot of profit on this product, and we've got one big hook that nobody else has. These other products are loaded with sugar, and we have none. I am proud of the quality of products we have, the competitive prices that they have, the profits that it puts into your pocket, and the nutritional value that we offer out of all those things. I love that. eSpring water treatment systems. You know, the quality of our water in this country is going down at a rapid pace, and we have been rated as the #1 water treatment system in the world. Most people can't even compete with us. When they do comparisons, they usually are leaving us out now because it's not even fair for the quality of what they have. They've got filters and they've got lights that kill the bugs, and I don't even know all the technical terms. I'm just excited that we sell it. Nobody else can sell it. We've got the best. I like that. We've got the very best. You know, there's a lot of companies that are impressed with what we do. Deloitte & Touche, one of the top accounting firms in the country, analyzes what's going on with businesses out there. We're the #2 e-tailer, e-commerce business on the web in Canada. Business 2.0 recently said we're the #1 health and beauty online business, and not with any close seconds. We have 20% of the entire market. Second place only has 12% of the market. So you're getting a leading business backed by no debt, backed by lots of money, lots of infrastructure, all put together, and it's leading everything else out there. Try to start a web page on your own. What are you going to be, 400 million in one? We're talking about stepping into big business the first day for a small price. My gosh, just to get involved in the business costs a little over $100, for goodness sakes. It's ridiculous how inexpensive it is compared to starting McDonald's at $1.3 million. And you can franchise as many times as you want and not have to pay another fee. I think to get multiple franchises at McDonald's, they'd probably want another $1.3 million several times over. There are a lot of leaders out there that are respected business people that write respected businesses books that thinks that this is one of the greatest businesses that's ever existed. John Maxwell, who's a very, very famous writer, has a lot of bestsellers out there, well recognized in the business community, speaks at all the Fortune 500 companies, wrote a very famous book, Developing the Leaders Within You, Developing the Leaders Around You. He recognizes this is the best business opportunity out there. Frank Feather, a very respected futurist who wrote a book called FutureConsumer.com, and his newest version of it is out, said of the hundreds of millions of web pages out there, they're going to be like the hundreds of TV channels that you can get. It sounds so cool, but when it comes down to it, you really only look at a few of them. And he said the few they're going to look at are going to only be about 5 web pages that they're going to run their life out of. As cool as the internet sounds to some people, you know what? To us normal people, we want to get on the net, do our business, and go off and live our life. We don't want to live on the internet. And he says one of the top 5 sites is now and will continue in the future to be Quickstar. Robert Kiyosaki wrote the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he talks about this being one of the greatest opportunities that ever existed because it gives you the chance to break out of what usually keep people poor and start thinking like rich people. I've told my kids forever that people who are broke aren't broke because they don't have money. They're broke because of the way they think. And the way they think is they don't want to change anything. They don't want to do anything different. Like, make me rich, but don't let me change anything. Well, I've got some good news and bad news for you. The good news is that there's opportunities. The bad news is you're going to have to change. If your goal is to say, I just want to sit in my cubicle for 40 years of my life and not change anything, well, you're not going to get the success that you want. And Kiyosaki, when he wrote that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, talks about thinking differently at what you're doing. My son's reading that book right now, called me yesterday and said, hey, Dad, is that where you got that line? Because that's everything that Kiyosaki talks about. He said is exactly what you say, that people are broke because of the fact they're poor, not even broke, they're poor because of the fact that the way they think and they're not willing to think out of the box and think about something new, for goodness sakes. You know, business is changing, guys. It's not the same as it used to be. I think one of the greatest examples of what's going on is Walmart. You know, the biggest corporation 15 years ago used to be Exxon. Raw material corporation, plugging holes in the earth, pulling out dirty, slushy oil and refining it and putting his gasoline in your cars. It evolved a little bit so that 12 years ago, and for a good 10-year run, the biggest corporation in the world was General Motors. Took raw materials, manufactured into a car, pretty expensive thing, you know, second only to your mortgage or rent. But it was a manufactured product a little higher on the evolution scale. For the last 2 years, the number 1 corporation in the world, and I think again this year because they've had great success, is not Exxon, is not General Motors. You know what it is? It's Walmart. Do you know what they make? They don't make anything. They're nothing but a distribution business. I think that is a great example for us to look at and say, where's the world going? You know why they're in the distribution business? Because things change so fast. Technology changes so quick. Companies used to be on the forefront 5 years ago are out of business today. Those that are on the forefront today probably won't be in business 5 years from now. And what the heck are you going to do about that? It's cool for us to get advantage of new products. It's not cool if you work there. They're going to lay you off and dump you as those corporations change. The great thing about us being able to have products that change is that we can adapt to whatever they were. Whatever's selling hot this year, we can sell. That's what Walmart does. They sell what's ever hot. Can General Motors change from a car manufacturing business to an energy drink manufacturing business? Can they change to a clothing manufacturing business? No, they are stuck and they can't change. The business for the future are businesses that are distribution businesses that allow them to be flexible and adapt to anything. That's exactly what we did with Excess Energy Drink. We found out that the energy drink market moved from 100 million to 250 million in 2 years. How many businesses could you name that did that? Whoa, I don't care if it was hula hoops, I want to sell that product. And that's exactly what we did. We went to market in less than 6 months. We were there. We've done incredible things in a short period of time. And that's add-on business to everything else we had. Lord only knows what's down the road and what other things we're going to add. I want that kind of business. That's the kind of business I want to be involved in. Walmart's the kind of business I want to imitate. But here's the great part about it. We do an even better job than they do. We're not stuck to a store. You can build your business anywhere you want to. And one of Walmart's goals in the future is to get on the internet. They've been spending a ton of money to get on there. And they recently laid off most of the people that work in that department because they can't even make enough money to pay the salaries of the guys that are trying to get them on the internet. And here's my opinion of a fatal flaw that they have that they will never get over. How many people who work now at Walmart, and those are nice people. You walk in, they've even got greeters who just say hi to you. That's their only job. Hi, how you doing? That's a pretty cool company. I love how Walmart's set up. It's a good deal. But how many of those people are excited about you going to the internet? Can you imagine a Walmart greeter saying, hey, great to have you today, but I want you to know you didn't have to come in. You didn't need to get all dressed up, do your hair and everything else. You could have stayed at home, gone online, and shopped for whatever you wanted. Didn't have to come into the store. Now, why will that person never say that? Because if everybody follows his instructions, he won't have a job. Nordstrom's, one of the finest companies out there. Credible department store. Got a great reputation for quality service because they pay their people well. How many of those people at Nordstrom's are going to encourage you to go to Nordstroms.com, which they've been struggling to get online with? None of them. Because if you go there, you won't shop there. And believe me, Nordstrom's doesn't reward those guys if you shop at Nordstroms.com. What I find ironic is that when you shop at Nordstrom's from this guy, they give you a sack that says what on the bottom? Nordstroms.com. I think in little writing you had to put underneath there, say goodbye to the guy that just handed you this sack, the poor sucker. He's not going to have a job if you really go to Nordstroms.com. And I think that's the fatal flaw these businesses have and why they'll never ever get to the web the way they want to get because of the fact that they just won't take those people with them. Well, you know what? I don't care if somebody buys a product from me by calling me up, ordering it over a phone, or ordering it over the internet. We get paid the same amount of money no matter what. We take the new technology of the world and don't abandon all the rest of it, and you get paid the same amount of money no matter what it is that you get involved with. That's pretty big stuff. Now, I take a look at all the different things that are going on and all the different businesses that are going on, and boy, I start realizing that this business is going places nothing else is. Let me just run through a couple examples of some of the companies out there that are great companies, well-recognized companies, that are doing great things, and just show you some of the success we have relative to some of those businesses. AOL Time Warner, one of the biggest mergers in the history of the world. They are 38 times the size of Quickstar. Now, let me give you a feel for how big Quickstar is. Last year, we did $958 million of revenue, have zero debt, and paid out $255 million in bonuses, not counting retail profits that they make, which average 33%. So let's take a look at these companies. AOL Time Warner is 38 times the size of Quickstar, but they have $56 billion of debt, and they lost the largest amount ever lost in U.S. history. They lost $100 billion last year. Impressed? I'm not. Amazon.com. 4 times the size of Quickstar, but $3 billion in debt. And last year, and they were happy about this, they only lost $150 million last year. Their report was things are looking up. We think one of these days soon we're going to make a profit. How long would you keep your job if you had that kind of attitude? Boss, man, keep a chipper look on your face. We only lost $150 million in my department, and things are looking up. I think one of these days we'll actually break even. I don't know how many of you would keep a job if you did that. That just blows my mind. Yahoo, great company, very successful out of all the .coms and everything else, one of the biggest search engines in the world on the internet. They're smaller than Quickstar is. They're at $953 million, but they're $400 million in debt, and they only made $42 million. Our IBOs made 6 times what they made as a company. Do you know who you are? Do you know what this is? This is big stuff. Costco. Great company, great idea. Bring products directly from manufacturers, get them to people as much as you can. 39 times the size of Quickstar, but they're $5.9 billion in debt. They only made $700 million for 39 times the size. They only made less than 3 times what we made. That's pretty awesome. If we were running that kind of volume at the percentage rate that we have, we would have netted $10 billion. Give us time, mark my words. Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble, famous bookstore, great company, 5 times the size of Quickstar, $1.7 billion in debt. Companies you see every day that you're so impressed with, they carry ridiculous amounts of debt, and they only made $64 million. Our guys made $255 million in bonuses. Do you know who you are and how much money you're getting paid? Starbucks, they're 3 times the size of Quickstar. They are $566 million in debt. And they're going to get more in debt now because you guys are drinking excess energy drink and you're not drinking coffee, for goodness sakes. I feel sorry for these guys, kind of. And after all that, they only made $215 million. We still made more money than those that paid out to the IBOs. That's fantastic. And Nike, great company, well recognized. How can you not be excited about Nike? 10 times the size of Quickstar, but $2.6 billion in debt, and they only made 2.5 times the profit. 10 times the size, but only 2.5 times the profit. We are one of the most profitable businesses you've ever seen. The concept of being able to be in business, help somebody else in business, and get rewarded for that is an incredible idea. People call it lots of different things. We like to call it private franchising because I think the concept is easy to grasp. It's like franchising in a McDonald's, except it's got a real nice caveat. That is that you can also franchise yourself, and McDonald's won't allow that. And you can call it anything you want to. I think that's the most definable phrase I've ever heard. Some people call it avalanche marketing, or buzz marketing, or cascading style marketing, or multi-level marketing, or centrifugal marketing, or exponential marketing, or fission, or grassroots, or organic, or propagation, or referral marketing. What's interesting is these big corporations that are in so much debt and not getting ahead are finding out it's a great way to go. And so they're all starting to start their own kind of deals called affiliate marketing. In fact, Amazon is cutting back on most of their advertising and putting their money into affiliate or associates marketing. AOL has started an affiliate marketing program. A lot of companies out there have started doing that same thing. eBay has started a new affiliate program because they find that when they can make it profitable for a lot of people to participate, here's an original idea, the business will work better. Expedia.com, a travel agency, has now started an affiliate program, an associates program. The thing is, guys, these are usually one-time, one-hit programs. We're talking about building a business that is yours. We can't take it away. The people you franchise are your people. They aren't our people. And that is a long-term business that not only rewards you throughout your life and as long as those people are around, but goes on to your heirs, just like Ray Kroc's business went on to his heirs. That is pretty exciting stuff to be able to. Now, all that's great, but I'll tell you what really makes it great is it's got a support system. We have the Worldwide Group, which is a group of business people that have built big businesses that come and teach you throughout the country. You pull up our webpage, take a look at the person that hands you this tape that's an affiliate member of Quickstar and an affiliate member of Worldwide, and they can pull up and show you a map of 60, 70 locations throughout North America that we every month give support to. And here's what's cool. We don't give people a 6-week training program and say, you know what, you're qualified to teach. This isn't college where people teach stuff they've never done, but they think they know how everybody else did it. This is real stuff. The only people allowed to teach are people who run hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of volume in their business every year and have for some time and have taught other people to be successful as well. And because of that, our people succeed because we have people teaching them that have really done this. I like that. You create a dream industry that has a dream team of superstars who've actually done it. Who in your field, in your profession, who are the most successful people are going to come down, spend an energy and time to help you succeed? When's the last time your supervisor left his wife and kids at night to come and teach you how to pass him? Hey, my goal is to have you pass me as soon as possible. Look, I'm not saying your supervisor is a bad guy. Some of you'd say, oh yeah, he is. Well, let me put it this way. I'm not a better guy than your supervisor. I just make money differently. He makes money by getting more productivity out of you in the same time without having to pay you more so he looks good to his boss. I don't make money by working you harder and ripping you off. I only make more money when you make more money. If for every 2,000 you make, I make 800, how many batches of 2,000 do I want you to make? A gob. As many as possible. I want you to succeed as much as possible. I want to teach you everything I know to pass me as quickly as possible. The sooner you pass me, the better. 8 o'clock tomorrow morning would be fine with me. I like that kind of thing. That's a big deal. Now, a lot of you guys would take a look at a program like that and say, okay, well, how much is it going to cost me to use a system like that? You know what? We don't ever want you to use anything we have to offer unless you want to use it. You're not required to use it. You don't have to use it. We'll send you to listen to these people personally. I just had a guy say, man, I get private counseling from some of the top advisors in the country, and lawyers that advise me, financial advisors, charge me $200 and $300 and $400 an hour. You go see people and to talk to you for a whole afternoon that are teaching a business out there, and depending on where you are in the country, they're charging $7 or $8 an hour for a session. You pay $7 to $8 for the whole session, for goodness sakes. It's crazy. This is the least expensive system I've ever seen. I don't expect you to fly all over the country and see these people. We're going to send a lot of them to you. Some of them are on tape. I encourage you to get access to that tape. If that tape has no value to you, well, I think that's a lot of money. I could go duplicate this off for 65 cents, so somebody must be making money. Then don't buy it, for goodness sakes. You pay 14, 15 bucks to go get a CD from some singer who certainly isn't going to teach you how they sing. I get excited that these guys teach you how to succeed the way that you're going to succeed. I don't have a problem with that at all. I am proud of a system that costs so little to teach you how to be financially independent for your family. It's wonderful. Boy, you compare that to college. My goodness, you couldn't in your entire lifetime pay what I pay for my son's college education per semester, for goodness sakes. His college cost him $35,000 a year. I don't know how you'd ever spend that money in this business in your entire lifetime, for goodness sakes. And trust me, it isn't paying him anything back. They expect him to go there for 4 years, chuck that out every single year, and give him a piece of paper. And what guarantee do they give him that he's going to get a job and make one dime with that piece of paper? Are you kidding me? They aren't going to accept liability for that at all. When I look at the alternatives, this is the greatest reward for the least cost that I've ever seen everywhere. I am a skeptical son of a gun, subscribed to 31 different business journals, magazines, and economic analysis papers. My computer flips on every morning at 5:30, analyzes 1,500 publications through the world. I sit on multiple boards of multiple companies and advise them what's going on, and I am a skeptical son of a gun. And I have never seen anything that comes anywhere close to giving your family something that really works, to have something that's competitive, something that's rewarding, and something that can help your family as much as this does for the small amount of cost that this takes. I am so thrilled about this. The amount of time it takes, the amount of cost that you incur in the process is amazing. In fact, let's talk about cost time-wise that you're going to incur with this. People say, well, how long does it take to build an income in this? How long does it take to build a business in this? And you need to sit down with the people who gave you this tape and go over different profitabilities. But we talk about having a middle management income that in this country at what we call a platinum level. And here's my experience in this business. I have never met anyone who treated this business as seriously as they treated their job for an entire year that took a year or more to become a platinum. They all do it in less than a year. Now, when I say serious, I mean this. Do you all think you'll feel like going to work tomorrow morning? Of course not. Probably didn't feel like going to work today, but you do. You know why? Because you're an adult, and that's what adults do. They do stuff that's not fun because they know the rewards down the road are going to make a lot of sense, and that's exactly what you do. If you treat this business that way and yet put in a fourth the time, you work 40 hours, put in 10 hours. You work 60 hours, I'm saying a fourth the time, 15 hours. You put 10 to 15 hours a week into this business. Whether you like it or not, whether you see the results you want or not, you stay that consistent. I have never, ever seen anyone put in that time who didn't go platinum in a year or less. Now, there's a difference between being signed up and actually putting out effort. I have friends who I love dearly who've been involved in this business for 5 and 10 years, but have never put in 3 months straight yet. That's okay. I'm not critical of that. But some people would be critical of us. Some people would say, well, you know, if you take what the average guy does, well, the average guy doesn't do it. And whose decision is that? Yours. For those of you who decide to be serious, awesome. Here's a simple question people ask me. Well, Greg, how do you stay motivated to build this business? I don't know. You're an adult. How do you stay motivated to go to work? It's not my job to pull out the pom-poms and pump you up every day. You're an adult. You can handle this. For goodness sakes. You stay fired up because you force yourself to stay fired up, and you put a smile on your face because you know what? Adults do things that are going to make sense for the long run. I'll tell you how you stay fired up. You love your family and you want them to have a good life. That's how you stay fired up. It's a pretty simple concept. It's amazing how many people would say to me, but Greg, I wouldn't want to make a lot of money. I wouldn't want to make over $1 million a year and be a materialistic person and buy material things and just be a person focused on materialism. You got to be kidding me. Did you come up with that excuse for not succeeding by yourself, or did everybody in your trailer park pitch in together with that? Seriously, that is so sad, it's not funny. You can't think of anything to spend money on that's constructive other than materialistic trinkets. That is a sad state of affairs. You can't think of anybody to spend that money on other than you. That is a sad state of affairs. You can't think of anybody that needs to be empowered that could be enhanced in their life by money except you. I hope you stay broke. We don't need people like you of shallow character amplified in our society, particularly by $1 million. But if you have any soul, any character whatsoever, and realize there are a ton of people other than just you that can be empowered by a lot of constructive things other than just buying materialistic trinkets. And don't get me wrong, I have no problem with you buying rewards that you deserve, as long as you're spending your life and money enhancing and empowering other people in life. If you're that kind of person, I wish upon you $1 million a month. I wish more people would think the way you did, because if they did and we took care of our own, took care of each other, we wouldn't need the federal government to solve every dang problem we got, because they do a pretty lousy job at it anyway, and we could eliminate 3/4 of our national debt and maybe be able to live life the way we're supposed to and enhance each other. And that's the kind of thing that this business allows you to do, and I love that. That's a big deal. And finally, let me just share this with you. It's a very famous author named Jim Collins, coming out with a lot of bestseller books. In fact, just released another one. This guy's an advisor to CEOs, executives around the world. And what he does is he gets them to think about why they're doing what they do so that they can do the what part of it more effectively. You know, we all get embroiled of what we do every day as opposed to why we do it. He said, imagine this. Imagine that I put $200 million in your bank account tomorrow. And the reason he picked $200 million is a lot of you have some big dreams and big fantasies, but most of them would probably be overwhelmed with $200 million. So I picked such a big number. He said, imagine we put $200 million in your bank account and we announced to you that you had 5 years left to live, and that's it. What would you do with those 5 years? Probably wouldn't be restricted financially, so you could do whatever it is that you wanted. Here's the question I would ask you. How much of what you do now would you change? And some of you look at me like I'm crazy and go, well, I'd change everything. Think of what you just said. You aren't doing anything that you really want to do. This isn't just a question of money. This just isn't a question of getting ahead financially. This has to do with the value you assign to your life. And my question to you is, if you're not doing anything that you want to do, what the heck are you doing? You need to change now. I pray you have a lot more than 5 years. And I know this business has the capability of exceeding any economic levels you could probably ever fantasize about right now. So let's get serious and make some decisions. If you're not doing anything you want to do right now, then doggone it, start doing something that you do want to do. You're not going to make those decisions overnight. You're not going to make those changes overnight. But if Jim Collins is right, and we ought to start thinking that way, then I would get involved in this business, because he gives you more choices to do more things with your life. Whether you understand all the intricacies of this business up front or not, you know we're talking about you having more time to do the things you love with the people you love than you will ever do in any other vehicle, because you have the ability to franchise yourself using the power of high technology and adding your high touch. You know exactly what we're talking about when we're talking about you having control over money rather than money controlling you. Wouldn't that be a nice change? And you being able to have enough of it so that money doesn't run your life anymore, and you can use that money to empower your family to whatever direction that you want to go to. I think those are some incredible options that most of us are never given. So here's my question to you. How long are you going to wait to live the life that you want and deserve rather than the life you're forced to? Albert Einstein said that the important thing in life is to make sure that the important thing stays the important thing. What's important to you? And are you going to focus on that? Or are you going to get sucked in with all the other sheep going back and forth and then one day realize you missed it all? You deserve more than that. Your spouse deserves more than that. And God knows your children deserve more than that. My prayer is that it makes enough sense to you that you'll come join those of us who put our kids above our own short-term personal interests and live the life that you truly deserve. God bless.
While the techniques and approaches suggested may have worked for others, no one can guarantee that they will work for you. We hope, however, that the ideas presented here will assist you in developing a strong and profitable business. This product has been produced independently of any other corporate entity and has not been reviewed. Purchase of this product is optional and subject to the refund policy described in your purchase agreement for business support materials. Purchase of future business tools can be discontinued at any time.